This weekend I'm going to the Knit&Stitch show in Harrogate and I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this for ages. I missed the one that was in London earlier in the year, and when I heard they were going to be in Harrogate and I have family that live there, I thought this is perfect. I'm going to drive up, I'm going to have the time of my life and see family at the same time, right? And then I saw that one of my favourite YouTubers, Scarlett from Afraid Upcycling, was doing some workshops up in Harrogate, and I just had to book onto them. Super excited, I cannot wait. So just in preparation for the weekend, I have actually sewn myself some masks. So at the moment I've got a weak immune system just because it's the medication that I'm taking. So it's going to be a big crowd of people. I didn't know I'd be on this medication when I booked the tickets. So I've picked up some, you can see these are N95 masks. So they're your standard medical masks. They've got a filter in, so these are the best ones for me at the moment, but they're not very pretty. So what I've done is I've actually sewn some fabric mask covers. So they kind of like, there's a hole in the side and then you poke the elastic through and you have much prettier covers, right? So these were just some fabric straps that I had that I thought would be really pretty to wear on top of my face. So I had this one, and then I also had, I just poke the elastic back through the sides. Hopefully these will work really well for what I need. So, and then here's the other one. So that would just mean I'm a little bit less self-conscious about the mask. It's nice and pretty. So they were quite easy to make actually, although a lot of the YouTube tutorials were from COVID era, which I'm not surprised, but I've now got some that I can reuse when I go outside. Not so excited about driving for 5 hours, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm back from the Knit&Stitch show. It was honestly so much fun. So the drive itself wasn't actually too bad. When I got to Harrogate, I'd never been to the Harrogate Convention Centre or even Harrogate itself before. And I actually didn't realise that Scarlett's first workshop was 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday. So worth it though, very much worth it. So I had to go in early access to go into the workshop. And the very first workshop that we did was a scrappy cushion cover. So this is the cushion cover that I started. So what I did was just pick up, we had loads of tea towels and different things that we could pick up and use. And then you just placed your scraps on top of a big piece that she gave us. And then you put some organza over the top and then you sewed everything down. And I thought that was like, I found this nice little basket of fruit and I had like these different other colours around it. And I thought it was really cute. So the only thing I haven't done is, we only had an hour and a half and I really wish they were longer, but I sewed the two pieces together. I just need to add a zip down the middle and then obviously sew the outside and I've got a full cushion cover. But yeah, I really like that. I really like the technique that we used. I've not used organza before, so I'd actually quite like to do this again with some stuff that I've got. It's really cool that she's got all these different like tea towels with the different designs and things that we could use. So I'm just looking at my other scraps and looking at things that I've got that I could patch together and make into my own like more covers. So I can't wait to finish this off, and obviously I will let you know how I get on with that. After I had that workshop with Scarlett, I had loads of time to look around the stalls. So I went around and had a look and I picked up a couple of sewing patterns to try out. So I can try and make some little like stuffed animals. I want to see how they're put together and then I can sort of design my own and make my own to sell. So I picked up, because squirrels are my favourite animal, I picked up a squirrel pattern and a teddy bear just to see how they're put together. And then obviously, like I said, design my own, because I'd like to make some little like desk buddies or stuff that I can have, that I can make and stuff with scraps. I also attended a few talks. They were really good. So we had a talk all about how to not buy new fabric, which when you're at a Knit&Stitch show, there's a lot of fabric that you can buy new, and I completely agree with what they were saying at this talk. Like, I don't like to buy any new fabric. I've only ever bought from my friend's fabric shop, which is all eco-friendly fabrics. So I've not bought any new fabrics ever, and I don't agree with buying new fabrics just because of the impact on production, what impact that has on the environment and on the people that work in that industry. So I wasn't there to buy fabrics, but there were so many fabric shops there. It was a little bit like surreal just how many you could buy. But I did go to a fabric place, and I don't know if anybody's heard of these. They're called Rainbow Fabrics. So I think they're based in London, but they, as it says on the bag, they collect designer, dead stock and ethical fabrics. So they're all about saving things from landfill. And I was reading their sign outside their stall, and they were the only fabric stall that I could see at the Knit&Stitch show that actually promote that they save textiles from landfill. And that's sort of what I'm all about, right? So I did buy some remnants from them that I thought were really pretty. So I picked up this. It's actually a Christmas themed mistletoe on there, but I thought it was really pretty with the greens and the flowers, and I thought this could make, if I ever did a sort of like Christmas collection, I would keep this for scrunchies, book sleeves, anything really. The remnant I think was about 3 meters long, so there's enough to do a lot with this. I wouldn't particularly turn this into a garment to wear. I think it's more of an accessories type thing. I then picked up, I thought this was really cute because I really liked the I really liked the rabbits, but I thought it was really pretty. So I could see this being turned into another accessory of some kind. I think this was about 1 meter's worth. And then this here, this was really nice. Like, I don't have many browns in my collection. And when I saw that this was very like floral and nature themed and leaves, I thought it was perfect. Not sure what I'd make from this yet. I'm not sure if I'd wear something like this or make it into an accessory, or maybe use it for when I make the squirrel. I could see this being part of the body because of its brown colour, but I really liked that. So I think there's about 2 meters of this one. And then I picked up these leaves because I thought these were gorgeous. So I was thinking like autumnal vibes. I know we've just passed autumn, but you know, thinking ahead. So looking at what I could make from this, maybe some other accessories again, but these were like beautiful autumnal leaves that I could keep for next season. I think there's a few like acorns in there too, so maybe I mix the two together and make the squirrel out of both of those. But that's the only fabric I bought from the Knit&Stitch show, just because of what I said about not wanting to buy new fabric and support that industry. So I had a look around at all the other stalls. There were a lot of, like I said, fabric stalls, but there were a lot of things like people selling patterns, tools, equipment, also a lot of knitting and crochet. I do actually crochet, but I've got far too much yarn that I don't know what to do with as it is, so I didn't buy any more yarn. And I didn't buy any, like there's a lot of embroidery kits and crochet kits and things like that. Last time I bought an embroidery kit and I didn't actually finish it. I still sat in my drawer, so I don't want to buy another one and add to, you know, all the projects that I've got going on. So I didn't buy any, but there were some really gorgeous ones that I could see. So after looking at all those stalls and buying the fabric, I did attend another talk as well on how to naturally dye your fabric and yarn, which I thought was really interesting because I've seen people dye their fabrics with, you know, when you boil a pot of water and you put the dye in and then you soak everything in there, and you've got to be really careful and can't burn yourself and you get the dye all over yourself. I've not tried it myself, mainly because of the mess and the equipment that's needed, but I saw this talk about natural dyeing where they got like Ziploc bags and you could put your, well, they use yarn, so you could put that in the bag with, you need like a chemical to spray onto it. I think they were using alum, but you can use things like iron. And then you put in like onion skins or berries or tea leaves and things like that and leave it overnight and it dyes the fabric. And I thought that was really interesting because it's something that you can do with children as well, because you're not burning yourself or using boiling water, but you're just leaving it overnight in a bag and then seeing the result afterwards. And I thought it was really cool. So maybe at some point I might try that with some of my fabrics. I've got a couple lighter ones that maybe I could try like dyeing different colours. So maybe I'll start saving my onion skins from now on and seeing what I can do with them, because I didn't even realise you could use them for that. So I learned a lot over the weekend. So I also attended another workshop on the Saturday, and I've never tried rag rugging before. I don't know if you've ever heard of rag rugging. I'd heard about it, but only through, so I listened to the Check Your Thread podcast, and I've heard about rag rugging, and I thought, oh, I've never thought about making my own rug, you know? So I thought I'd go along to the workshop. It was rag rugging for beginners, just to see what it was all about. And we ended up making, this doesn't look like much, right? We only had an hour. So I ended up making part of a rug, at least. But you can see that sort of like texture and that sort of look to it. So we were taught how to cut up the fabrics, measure them out, and how to like poke them through. That's the back. So how to poke them through the hessian and then create this rug. Obviously, when the thing is full, you get the actual effect of the rug. But I was thinking when I eventually do markets, I'd like a nice rug on the floor at my stall, just to give it that bit of, I don't know, a little bit of like aesthetic appeal. And also I have so many textiles and so many fabrics that, you know, these are little tiny scraps that you use, and I have lots of little scraps, and I can use them to stuff things, but I could also use them to make a rug. That would be perfect. This was the other technique that we learned, where it was like loopy rag rugging, but I didn't particularly like this one as much. I don't know, I like the classic kind of, I don't know, I like the texture and look to this one. So my thought is to try and make my own, but with the colours of my brand, so I can have that on the floor. I have so many greens. I just seem to be drawn to picking up greens whenever I look for clothes. So every time I'm at a clothes swap or a charity shop or anything like that, I seem to always pick up green. So I should have plenty to make a rug like this. But I need the hessian for the bottom. And it actually said on the information with this workshop that the best thing that you can use is actually old coffee sacks. So I'm going to be asking my local coffee shops what they do with their sacks when they've used them. So seeing if I can repurpose the coffee sacks for the base, because that would be perfect. I don't want to be buying new hessians, so I'm going to keep my eye out for some coffee sacks. And now that I know what to do, I also bought the tools, because you can use like a little hook, but I don't have one. So I got some scissors, because they're super sharp to cut through many layers of fabric when you're cutting those strips. I then got the spring tool to pull things through, and also a measuring gauge strip, because that's how you know how thick to cut your little strips for the rug, and obviously a hook to bring things through. So that was really fun, and I will be keeping an eye out for those coffee sacks just to see. And when I get round to making that, I'll document the process, and you can see hopefully a finished result by the time I do a market, hopefully next year. Who knows? So that was Saturday. Took like the whole day, you know, when you're walking around, going to workshops, looking at talks, and it was super fun. You might be able to hear it, start to come down with a sore throat. Despite wearing the masks, I started to develop a cold. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit rough now I'm home, but I managed to stay to the Sunday. Didn't want to miss the other workshop that I had, which was again with Scarlett. So she held a scrappy collage surrealism art type really wacky workshop, but it was really fun. So we got this big strip of fabric, and sort of similar to the scrappy cushion, but we were encouraged to make art with what we found. So looking at what's in the tea towels and adapting the pictures to be something else. So like, I don't know, a dog with a head of a chicken, or you know, whatever, like cutting things up and putting them down. So I haven't finished mine, and I've got to be careful because it's all pinned up and I don't want to poke myself. But I found this tea towel with some dogs on the front, and they were in a little basket, again like basket themed. Don't know why I was drawn to the baskets this weekend, but I found it, and it says, I don't know how well you can see it, but on the bottom it says not for sale, but I changed it. So I found a tea towel that had letters on it, and actually the F was actually an R that I've cut up cleverly. And I changed it to be not for food, and then I added a load of animals around the outside, and I found these little chefs on another tea towel, and like this one's got a fork, this one's got scissors that is cutting the dog's ear off with. So it was just like having a load of fun and playing around. Obviously I need to stitch everything down, but I watched one of Scarlett's recent videos about how you can use like crafting and art as a form of activism. And I thought, well, this is kind of like along those lines. I'm using my own art and craft and textiles to kind of, I don't know, portray that animals should not be food. So so here, this was just a really fun thing for me to do. I'm going to finish it off at home, and then the idea is to, I don't know whether I want to like, you probably wouldn't turn it into like a cushion, but I'm thinking maybe like, I don't know, framing it and putting it on the wall or something in my studio, because I thought that'd be quite nice. But it was a really fun way to use up scraps and start to experiment. And, you know, one of the talks I watched on Saturday, she was talking about the difference between art and craft, and how like craft is you have a goal in mind and you're working towards it, and you're, you know, making sure it looks exactly how you want it to look, how you envisioned, which a lot of the time is what I'm doing with my upcycles. I've got a vision in mind and I'm working towards it, but art is you have no idea how it's going to turn out and you don't have that vision. And this was sort of more like that, and I don't do a lot of that kind of sewing. I always have like a vision in mind and a plan, and you know, these little pieces that I want to fit together in a particular way to make a particular thing. And this was very much, I don't know what I'm going to put where. I'm going to throw things on the page and I'm just going to sew things as I feel like it, and what I get in the end is something a bit wacky. But it was really fun because that creative side is something that I really enjoyed. It is a very good use of fabric scraps, and when you've got things like tea towels that have all these crazy characters on, it's quite nice to make these pictures. So that was probably my favourite workshop of the entire weekend, and I really wish it was longer so we could finish and we could keep going and finish them off. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it was just like time to just unleash creativity and just like, I don't know, no rules or anything, it was just fun. So I had one more workshop where they were teaching you a zero waste technique to piecing together scraps, so patchworking. And they were teaching you, so this is the final result that I finished in the 1 hour workshop, which is quite cool. Might make this into like a mini cushion or something. I don't want to waste it, it's quite pretty. So they were teaching you how to piece everything together without wasting anything. So usually when you're piecing together triangles and things, you have lots of scraps that you cut off. And this method, they were teaching you how to not have any scraps. Like, we didn't waste any fabric at all, which is quite cool to know, because when I'm patchworking things together, it was good to know that I can make triangles without wasting scraps. So yeah, that was like just a cool thing to learn for me, a new technique. So that was one of the last things I did on the Sunday, and then obviously took another look around at all the stalls. I didn't buy anything else other than lunch, but it was really nice to go around and see everything that was happening and to see all the beautiful art. There was an exhibition there as well, so I got to see loads of beautiful artwork. It was really interesting to see what people do with their textiles, similar to what I was saying with Scarlett's workshop, but seeing the vision of like people portraying these different pieces of art, and then you look closely and you see that it's all just textiles sewn together in really like unique ways. So there was that artwork which I really enjoyed looking around, and then there was also the rag rugging artwork area as well. And you could see the different techniques that people had used to make these pieces of art that you could have on your floor as a rug or hang up on the wall. And it was really interesting to see the history behind rag rugging as well, because it's not something I ever knew. I think it's more common up north than it is down south in the UK, but it's just not something I knew about or had seen. Like, I sort of knew the style of rug, but I didn't know what it was called and I hadn't seen it. So that was really interesting to see. And then they had the beautiful, beautiful royal hall that you could go and sit and eat food in. So that was really pretty to see. But it was just a really fun weekend, and it took a while to drive there, so I'm looking forward to the next one that's in London, because that'll be a lot closer for me. But I really enjoy going to these type of events because you get to see loads of people who share your hobby, and you get to go to workshops and learn new skills and have fun. But I don't necessarily agree with the selling of new textiles. That was something that I don't know how we get that across or change that to, you know, help with sustainability and help our planet, because it's not something that I'm obviously advocating for. I'd rather use what we already have. It'd be nice to see stalls like that have those kind of values like I do, because I would be really interested to see those. And I don't know whether I would be someone that would have a stall or something at one of these shows, because I'm more of a service-based business than a product-based business. So I offer my services for upcycling, but I don't necessarily have products that I sell all the time. I have some ready-made items that I'm going to be making for the shop, but that's not the main part of the business, right? The main part is the upcycling, so taking people's old clothes and textiles and turning them into something new that they can love and cherish. And even if it's not, turn them into new clothes, it could be accessories, it could be into art, you know? It could be into something like scrappy cushions, it could be anything like that. But that's the bit that I love doing, is the reuse of things that already exist. But it was still fun to go and see and explore and learn and see what everyone else gets up to in the sewing community. So yeah, that was my quick vlog all about my weekend away to Harrogate and the Knit&Stitch show. If you did enjoy hearing about my experience, let me know if you've been to the Knit&Stitch show. Like, maybe I missed you. Next year we can say hello. But let me know if you were there, and if you reached the end of this video, if you could pop like the needle and thread emoji in the comments, and that would be great. And please like and hype this video so it reaches more people, and I'll see you in the next one.